Hello, Assassineers. Welcome to the Assassin Action Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Morrow, and I'm joined by Colin Honigman, Blake Meyer, and Zane Johnson. Colin, what's up, dude?
Dude, I like how you just rebranded us based off your personal preference and achievement this weekend. So,
well, that's what Isaac used to do when he was very good at the game, and now he's gone, and now I'm top dog. So
now
it's a new world with a new assassin as well. So we're all assassins.
Well played, Blake. Well played.
That's something I did not hear a lot this weekend. So thank you.
Which assassin?
She's
new. She's new.
Ooh.
She's gonna get you like a snake.
New. New. Yeah, she's got it. She's got something. She's got 2 feet, and my dog is trying to leave the room already.
Your dog has 4 feet.
Your dog is like, this is too much talk about assassin and feet.
Yeah.
She's not into feet. She's into licking faces.
Tell you what, she was not into me petting her face when I stayed with you this weekend.
Oh my gosh, how was that?
You were warned.
Yeah, it was totally fine. It's like, you know, she's just her own person, and she's like, I would like to put my nose and my tongue on you briefly, and then don't look at me too long, and then I will look at you from afar and then pretend you're not here. And that's...
We're still talking about my dog and not me. Is that correct? I got confused because there's some overlap in our experiences there.
I mean, you know, she is your dog. You know what I mean? Learned those habits from somewhere.
She's a daddy's girl, that's for sure. Nice.
Zane, how come you don't have the grandeur of a lie already mounted up on your wall? What's the holdup?
You know what's funny is I put the 4th frame in my Amazon cart today, but I haven't ordered it yet. But I'm concerned. I don't know how it's gonna fit. It's gonna be weird. I kind of like the balance I have right now.
Rearrange
it's
the whole thing, dude.
It's arguably less cool looking than those 3, so you can put it wherever, you know.
Yeah, maybe I'll put it just over here.
You start a new column. Yeah.
Yeah. In front of the uncut sheet. The uncut sheet.
Uncut sheet. The full size one.
Not the baby ones.
Not the baby
Which are also great.
Welcome any new listeners to our podcast. Appreciate you all being here. Today we're going to be talking...
I thought we were done with the new assassin jokes.
Sorry.
No, they're new assassin listeners. Today we're going to just be talking a shit ton about our experiences at the recent Pro Tour that happened in Los Angeles, California, United States of America. So all 4 of us went. We had a great time, and we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, we have a contest we're doing. So longtime supporter of the show, Fab Foundry, on it, as he's known on the internet, has bestowed upon us $50 of store credit. And if you use the affiliate link down below while shopping for Flesh and Blood card singles, you will get 10% off your order. So that's very exciting. This contest is running until April 8th, I believe. So you basically have 2 weeks-ish once this episode comes out, a little less. So what's the contest, you say? How do I win these $50? Well, you are going to use your personal recording devices, record a little audio clip, and that audio clip is in the theme of announcements, audio you would hear at the deathmatch arena. We're talking between matches, PSAs, commercials, walk-up music, intros, hero catchphrases, etc. Anything you would hear, you know, maybe a Karen getting thrown out 2 rows in front of you. What was that skit, etc. Be creative. Send it to our email, theattackactionpodcast@gmail.com. We will listen to them and then judge them, and then the best one will win the prize. Did I get it all? Are those all the rules?
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules.
There they
Those
are.
are the rules.
Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are you?
I was just saying, you get all, yeah, I was just thinking of like the PSAs that come out at the deathmatch arena, just like, watch out for the terrible insect creature that we've let loose and is just killing people from above. But enjoy the show.
Yeah, totally.
You could go to the fake Twitter from Jurassic Park updates, repurpose them, and write the word Betsy on one of them, and then you probably get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't have to be an original idea, but you got to deliver it in theme, in world, and
Totally.
if it makes us laugh, you're on the right track.
Dorinthia, your chariot is double parked, and the service vehicles need to bring more bandages. Dorinthia, please move your chariot. Thank you. Something like that.
Your mother is here. She is looking for you.
Does anyone know who these children belong to? Yeah, stuff like that. At one of our athletic director meetings, we were seriously trying to figure out if we could vote on people who just drop their kids off at basketball games, unattended children being charged $15 a pop. If you're going to do that.
To watch or play?
They're just there. They're just in the crowd running around unattended 10-year-olds just making havoc with a wad of sweaty cash that they spend only on candy and then lose $20 of it somewhere, Worth it.
Well,
parenting. That's parenting 101. All of us childless men.
Takes a village, they say.
30s. Yeah. That's
That
true.
village is at the basketball game.
Or the deathmatch arena. So there you go.
Well, yeah, either one. Yeah, it's also a delightful place for children to hang out all day unattended.
It also takes a village to have somebody on your team make top 8 at a pro tour.
That's also true.
As a couple people had representing their teams there was a Sunflower Samurai in the top 8. There was a card guy in the top 8. And maybe a couple other ones.
That's true.
It takes a village.
Team
It takes
Team Germany.
takes a village.
Team France.
They
Other
raise you
teams?
up. Isn't that how that song goes? How's that song go?
You raise me up.
And that's it for.
So
Is that Groban? Is that a Gruben song? Brian
It's Josh
Gruben.
Grubin.
Brian.
I'm grooving to Grobin.
All right. Before we go on to talk about the rest of the Pro Tour LA, with just a small reminder, just super quick right now, that we are outside of Onit's generous support of us, who is also a patron. We are largely supported by our patrons. You can join for $4 a month. You get access to our Discord. You get to be friends with us and maybe go to the Hype House, but not this one, but the next one, whenever that will be. That could be you. You could, you never know. Maybe you become a co-host of the podcast. That also happens sometimes. It's crazy in this Discord. So think about that. Can't do $4. Fine. We've got various other activities you can do. Subscribe on YouTube. Like our videos. Give us a podcast rating wherever you can do that. And the last one, because you still can't prove it doesn't work, shout out the Attack Action Podcast wherever you are right now. We'll wait. Great job. Thank you very much for supporting the show.
Excellent.
We appreciate
Excellent.
all of you. And, to pivot into the PTLA talk, everyone who came up to me or I ran into who, recognized me, said that they enjoyed the show. Thank you so much. That was really nice. It feels validating to know that people enjoy it, because we're often just talking into our cameras at each other and hoping that somebody likes it. And to know that at least upwards of 5 to 6 of you do, random people I haven't met before, the best. Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you all. So that's it for our plug. So we're just going to cruise into the news and talk about the thing everyone's talking about. It's the Dragon Lady, Dromi. I think it's Dromi. She won the Pro Tour Los Angeles all by herself. No team. I don't know. Is he on a team? I forget. Somebody remind me the name of the player who won.
He has a team.
Totally. The Southern Tribes of Arrakis, I believe, is his team.
Yeah, what was all that stuff?
I think that was just a meme that was going on.
Because Arthur kind of looks like...
Oh, is he a Timothy Chalamet?
Yeah, he maybe just also slightly... Yeah, he kind of looks like Timothy Chalamet a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
and
I could see that.
Just how he could see all of the possibilities. You know what I mean?
Timothy Chalamet will play him
those edits
in the biopic.
Totally. He's got to do it soon, though. Like, not in 20 years. He's got to do it like now.
He does have Chalamet vibes. Yes, Arthur. God, does anyone know how to pronounce his last name?
Arthur T.
Trehet, if I had to guess.
Trehet. Yeah, French, you don't pronounce it if there's no final E. Arthur Trehet from France. Hope I got that one right. Mr. Arthur, King Arthur of Dragons, did it. Pulled that sigil out of nowhere. Won. That's all you need. You need to sink below to block and then gain 3 life. You win the Pro Tour. And how much money did he win? $50,000.
$200,000.
50,000 gold, according to the check.
Was it $200,000?
No. 50K.
No, that's the pot, I believe.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So you made me very confused for no real reason. He won $50,000. Great job.
That sigil was worth $24,000, basically.
There were a lot of tweets of like, oh, that's a top 5 fab moment ever. And like immediately all I could think of like, are you kidding me? Like literally what's even in the vicinity of it? Like it is the number 1, like most iconic fab moment of all time. Like it is a dramatic end to one of the biggest tournaments in the history of the game, coming down to 1-1. Like it is the most iconic moment in the history of fab, in my opinion.
I feel like Michael Hamilton's read on the Icelander mirror with homies, like defense reaction in his arsenal, and was just like, cool, I just won't attack you, and you'll play with 4 cards the rest of this game. That to me, that was like the slow snail crawly version of this, slow inevitability. But yeah, totally. This one sounded great. I'll be 100% honest. I have not watched this game yet because I've been busy, but everyone's talking about it.
I think a top 5 moment was getting a legendary in my pre-release for Uprising. That was pretty cool. The cold foil Flamescale Furnace, but that's going to be pretty useless in about 2 weeks.
It's 3 life for 5, baby.
I think it's the perfect game. Well, I have 2 things to say. First, I think it's the perfect game for the heavy hitters meta because it really was kind of just a fucking slugfest. You know what I mean? He was just like sword and dragons and then sword in his face. And then he was like, fuck it. I'll just attack you and not have any dragons. And they just really like chunked each other's life down. And so I thought that was pretty apropos for the meta we're in. And then just like, what a moment. It's like pretty nuts because Brian Gottlieb like calls it. He's like, no, he like Sync Below doesn't even work here. You know, the literal only card he needs is Sigil of Solace. And you're just like, wow, that's crazy, dude. This guy just lost. Like, this is what a decision. And then swooshing there. It's incredible. It's just like so nuts.
And what an appropriate way for like Dromi to win too, where like you think that you've killed her, you know, like in the similar way to like the way Prism LL'd, where it was like, a Briar trying to push through a Prism board when the Prism had like a Shimmers on board, and the Briar eventually dies to the Shimmers, which is like the most appropriate way for Prism to kill someone in an LL. Dromi has the D-react and then the sigil to die, to like not die when she should die. Just the perfect ending for her life, because that's just how she is as a hero.
It's so
bye
so
bye
true.
Dromi. Good riddance.
Well. Wait a second. She's not out yet. She is 4 points away from Living Legend, and there's only 3 points given out for Pro Quests. So is collusion on the table? Are people going to do their best to ensure Dromi continues into the next Pro Tour season?
I don't think
Not a
so.
chance.
Yeah,
I think
I
I'm
don't think
just,
so either.
the same degenerates that have played her for every minute of their life are gonna just show up that first weekend and say goodbye to her in style.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be more
Absolutely.
Starvo, where she's gonna end with like 1,300 points. We'd be like, no, she didn't go out with a whisper. She just blasted through that Living Legend status, and they'll be great. And then we'll have the one true illusionist left, Prism 2. It's gonna be
Prism 2, more Prism.
It's gonna be great.
I think this opens up a little bit of discussion I've seen online that I thought maybe was interesting. But do you all? I'm gonna throw this to Zayne first. How do you feel about Dromi LLing? Good, bad? Is it like, are we gonna have the same conversation again where we're like, this hero leaving the meta just like unlocks so many degenerate things now that are gonna piss me off that I have to play against? Or is it just gonna be like, cool, Dromi's gone and things are fine? You know, what's your opinion on that?
I think it'll have a huge impact. Like when I think back to Baltimore, which was a meta that a lot of people have disparaged and, say that they didn't enjoy. You had Dromi on one side and you had Oldhim on the other, kind of as like, I know Lexi was the best deck at the time. I do understand that. But as far as like the bookends of what the meta like did, you had to be able to like plan for Dromi and plan for Oldhim. And you had these two extremes that were like so hard to game plan for both. And when Oldhim left, we obviously had huge impact. Like a lot of decks kind of got unlocked, and Crown of Seeds. We'll talk about that. But I think a similar thing will happen with Dromi. I think Dromi leaving kind of reintroduces fatigue as like a very real option. I think Dromi has always been, in the right build, in the right hands. Dromi just laughs at fatigue. So I think that will have a huge impact. I think I'll be a little bit sad to see her go. She is, polarizing, but an interesting deck to play against. Sometimes she can be a bit tilting, but I think ultimately I'll be sad to see her go. But we'll be glad to see kind of how the meta shakes down once she's gone.
Interesting. Blake, thoughts, opinions?
I could not be happier that Dromi is getting the fuck out of here. It's definitely a hero that is so bad for certain decks of 40-0 a couple of the people in the last year since she came out. I think there's a truly a large portion where you're like, I want to be creative. And in a meta where Oldham's around, I can't really be creative, because if I can't do damage to Oldhim, I lose those matchups, and Oldham's everyone's favorite. These hyper consistent heroes of Oldhim and now Dromi are pushing certain fun strategies, certain unique things, I could do something with a combo thing. But like, if you don't have your 12 6s in your deck, you're going to lose. That's just what's going to happen. Even if you do have the 12-6, if you don't draw them at the appropriate time, you're just going to lose. You can play your tech cards for 45 minutes against Dromi. You miss it on the 46th minute, you just lose. I am tired of like, I am playing perfectly and then it's just over. And it's nice to avoid those, like, I can maybe relax a little bit at an armory. Yes, this is different for like pro, more of a pro tour, more of a pro quest, more of a road to national, more of a above armory thing. But at an armory, now I can bring my fun decks. I can bring Olympia and leave out the 6s because I just want to play a degenerate attack reaction only Olympia deck. Well, whenever Dromi is super popular and everyone has a year and a half on that deck, you can't do that. But now it's like, at least I could maybe just dodge half of or dodge one illusionist in Prism. I could never dodge 2 full illusionists that everyone loves. So I think it will be fun to have a meta without her. I think everyone's super afraid of what Prism could do of she loses her bad Dromi matchup, and now you still need those poppers. Everything I just said is pointless because you still need to work around those illusionist attacks. Too bad, so sad. And this is even worse because there's even more on hits. And now my dragons are ward and are sticking on the board more than ever before. And maybe 3 months from now, we'll all say, damn, I wish Dromi was still around. But at this point, I don't think we'll ever say that as a low tier hero guy that really likes some of these other decks that I want to play, like Arachne, Riptide, Teklovasen. Those people are like, please get out of my meta. I'm ready to try something new.
Interesting. I understand that. Colin, your turn.
It's going to be great. Kano matchup sucked. Prism matchup sucked. So now we're just feeling great. We're going to have a good time. We just have overrepresentation of Dromi locally, so you just see it everywhere. It's a little tiring to play against, and the people who play it, just that's all they ever play. They never try anything else. So, this will give them a chance to do that. But they should stay away from Prism, because that's my deck now.
Yeah, I think, those are all perfect. I think all of those things are totally true. I agree with all of those. I don't know if I am going to miss that particular puzzle that you need to have a game plan for or not. I don't think I will, because there will just be something else that comes out, right? Like,
yeah, let's get a new puzzle. This puzzle's been around for a while.
Yeah. It might actually be Kano, like, maybe gets even better. Like, because if we're just going to, like Zayne said, like, fatigue decks become a thing, it's like, great, fatigue me, I'm Kano. I'll just pitch stack you and do 200 damage. Thank you very much. Good night. So that might be more of a player. Who knows? We'll have a new set. We will have a little bit of time with this new meta, which is cool. I guess if Dromi wins the Calling Phuket, then we're super done, and then ProQuest season is free. So I really hope that happens, because I would rather that happen and have 4 weeks of new meta rather than potentially only 2 weeks, at those kind of lower tier competitive events like that. So I don't think it's bad. Like, something will come up and then we'll try to attack it, etc. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be really fun. I love new little meta puzzles every time. That's why
Change
I like
is
sets.
good.
So
Change
is good. Totally is good.
Now we got so many heroes now that feel like they couldn't really spread their wings, and here at the Attack Action Podcast, we support all those lurkers, and
Riptide, baby.
Want them to get their moment in the sun, but not too much sun, because that's also bad.
They're lurkers. They get sunburned easy.
That's true. You need that SPF. Or you don't want, if you go too hot, you hit LL. Is Kasai the next one to ruin all of our lives? Because she won the Calling, and I guess that's pretty good. I don't think anyone had her down as the winner. I think everyone thought KO was going to be a bit more standout-ish on this weekend, but doesn't seem like KO seems to have put everyone down, but didn't rise to the occasion to actually win the whole thing.
A classic,
I don't know. I didn't play in this
Lexi
thing.
maneuver. Classic Lexi.
Kasai actually leapfrogged KO in Living Legend points, which is kind of hard to imagine. But
I think one thing too that always goes through my head at the bigger tournaments, whether it's Worlds or Pro Tours, is all the best players in the room are doing Pro Tour. And I'm not saying the person who wins the calling when everybody is doing Pro Tour isn't the best person in that tournament. But yeah, there was four KOs that were in the top 8 of Pro Tour that could probably beat that Kasai deck at the calling. So this is part of the layer of this. Like Reinar got his one win in San Jose at Worlds when there were a lot of people were worried about winning $100,000. And like that 100 points that went to Reinar, go Chandler, love him, great job. Go pummel Reinar was pretty cool that time. But if he had to play all the other Fies and Michael Hamilton, like maybe Reinar doesn't ever have those points either. So I'm more worried about KO still because the proof's in the pudding of there's more people in that top 8 at Pro Tour than like maybe Kasai got lucky this one, and like the KOs are like, thank God we don't have that 100 points from that leapfrog's fine by us because we want to have our mandible claws as long as possible.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. I was thinking that today watching some of the coverage back, and I just was like, man, mandible claws is like the only thing brutes do. Like, why don't we have like a new thing that they're doing with, their weapons or whatever? But to your point, Blake, I think there's just so much nuance to the Pro Tour / calling and which one's harder / not harder, to win at. And they're just two different animals for sure. Like the calling is so big and so wild because it's the open tournament that like, who knows what the fuck is going to happen. You might like day 2 on Arachne and you're like, wow, I'm so that's cracked. And then you're like, wait, somebody else also day 2'd on Arachne and was doing better. That's fucking crazy, So like that could happen at the calling. You know what I mean?
Hypothetically.
And in a hypothetical world. So does that make it easier to win? I would argue that it doesn't, but it is not like far away. It's just like so different because of the nature of how that tournament is structured, and what makes the Pro Tour really hard is that it's like so much more narrow in its scope in some regard because everybody is really trying to win, who's there, rather than like, I mean, I guess there were 3 Arachnes and a Tekla Vossen, and like a Riptide or something, some people are memeing, but the amount of memes are so much fewer than at the calling, that, and then that it's a split format, so that really changes what happens, I think, in the kind of results of the meta of like which hero was the right pick. You know what I mean? So I think they're hard to compare is my opinion. Any further thoughts by Zayne or Colin on that?
I mean, congrats to Kasai. Like, I think it was an impressive showing for Warrior all weekend. I think Hatchet's story was the main event kind of breakout, but Kasai's still very good. Like, they're very similar decks. Dory does it a little bit more every turn and threatens, a couple extra points every turn, whereas Kasai threatens these big, end game, the currency, cash in turns. And I mean, congrats to Kasai. I forget the name of the player. He's from Canada.
Dilks.
Yeah, Dilks. Congrats to him.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Kasai's.
Wow.
That's
Put it
good.
on a shirt. Shit. Let's go. Nice. All right, so we're gonna jump to some sadder, interesting news before the more fun stuff, which is the latest banned and restricted announcement just came out, just hot off the presses yesterday. Berserk is banned. Everyone knew it was coming. It was a huge problem throughout the whole weekend. Just nonstop bad beat stories about Berserk coming in and all the cards they drew and how much go again, KO and Reinar had. And, it's totally understandable. I'm being facetious. But LSS coming out way ahead of the gate saying, you know what, this card is restricting our future development of the game, and we just don't even want to think or care about it anymore, so we're just going to get rid of it. And I was just like, okay. One, kind of sucks because Berserk is like a fun, cool card that not a lot of people are running, and it is kind of a wild combo piece that you don't always pop off on, and it's not like the most consistent thing, but I respect the choice to say it's limiting our creativity and trying to build out more brute stuff, which is also just interesting subtext of they're working on other new brute stuff, which is cool. So that was interesting. And then along with that, the also troublesome Crown of Seeds finally banned after not being legal in any deck in CC. They've banned Crown of Seeds, which I think is mostly just funny at this point. Zane, why don't you tell me about why these cards were bad and they needed to be banned?
Let's do it. Happy to. So the first, or let's go in reverse order. Crown of Seeds, a little easier, a little more relatable for most people. This card text is so interesting because when we first read this, I'll speak for myself. Like, I didn't think this was that powerful. It was like, you have to pay a resource. Like, I guess on Tunic turn, that's good. Like, to do this effect, prevent 1 damage. Okay. And then we saw Rampart, and it was like, oh, okay, you can kind of Rampart. And there's where you're using your floating resources. But as this card matured, this just completely warped the entire metagame around. Like, daggers don't exist, your breakpoints don't exist. Like, you can arsenal the worst card in your deck, and there's no repercussions. You're gonna get to your pitch stack before your opponent, and you can track it in a way that they can't because you arsenal cards that they don't see. And so, all of these impacts just led to like what seemed to be a fairly innocuous. I mean, clearly powerful. It's legendary, right? But like, what appeared to just be kind of a normal, flavorful legendary turned into just a completely overtuned like monster of an equipment piece that anchored the two of the best decks we've ever seen in the format in Oldhim and Starvo. So very happy to see it go. I think they did a good thing in waiting till kind of the price went down and people were, they hadn't just bought like a $200 card and now it's banned. It's been a cheap card for a while. So fully on board with that one. I'm a little bit sad as far as like I opened it at a pre-release and I have fond memories of using Crown of Seeds, but it was time to go. Berserk, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of glad to see it go just because I think it's a stupid card. Which like I say that as someone who tried to make it work. Like I tried to make Berserk Reinar work, and sometimes you flip tear limb from limb, and it's like, only put 6 whiffs in your deck. Okay, now you have 3 blues. Like that, it had so many like issues, and sometimes in Blitz somebody plays it on turn 2 and the game ends, and it's like, oh, all right, okay. Like it just it was a feels bad card for both players. Like when it hits, it doesn't feel like you're like earning it, and when it misses, it's just like, oh, okay, I guess. So I don't know. I think that these cards could not be more different. Like as far as like why they're leaving. One is just like, this incremental advantage you get over the 30 turn game, and the other is like it turns what should be a 10 turn game into sometimes a 2 turn game or sometimes not. But I think that both of them are like very reasonable cards to be banned in. I understand why some people would be frustrated at Berserk going, but I don't think anybody can like really reasonably complain about Crown of Seeds.
Okay, tag me in, Coach. I'll be the one who's unreasonable about Berserk. It's interesting seeing bans in this game because usually the bans come after it's been terrorizing people for a while. And then there was even the opposite of that of we know Stubby Hammer is an absolute atrocious addition to Fi, but we're going to let you guys have it for a month and win those tournaments real quick. Great job. And now this is one where, hey, in the future, this could be really bad. I think there's 1 out of 85 Reinhardt players is trying the Berserk build where they're going to put in the 3 blue 6s and make only 6 whiffs and really try super hard to make this work. That person deserves to 2-turn you instead of a 10-turn you because they're putting their whole deck tension into this combo. Their deck is so bad. If they draw any of the other cards in their deck besides Berserk, it's 3 cards out of 60. That's 1 out of 20. If they don't draw one of those 3 copies, their deck is absolute trash. And like, but that's the kind of creativity and huge pop-off turns that Brute has been synonymous with in this game. And so now you kind of see like Brute going from being like, this is Scabskins. Blood Rush, you can either draw 2 blues and go off, you could draw 2 reds and do nothing. And like it's either feast or famine in Brutes, but now we have a new legendary equipment and heavy hitters, and it's just a value thing. It is literally the most thing, Apex Bonebreaker, you're never going to get, you can get the most value out of that you've ever seen, but it's not a maybe or not. And so going away from the maybe or not, like Cast Bones is either you're never going to hit a 0 because you're playing it in the deck where it's so consistent. If you deck build for just 6 6s because you're on KO, this is the best card in the game, unfortunately. And now we're taking this could be super good or super bad, and now replacing parts of Brute with consistency, which is something that I've heard from other people say stuff of like, I don't want Brute to be more consistent because then it'll feel really bad to lose to them. So Berserk leaving because it's really bad to lose to them in those 2 turns, or I think there was a little bit of rumbling from people of why is Scabskin Leathers not banned today? It's very frustrating of I lost, I'm just going to say it, the guy who got 9th place, Ian Zhang, had the quote of like, hey, I lost a game that I had won as Dromi because my opponent rolled 3 6s or whatever. Too bad. That is how the game works. That is the only chance that player has to beat you as Dromi is to run past you with action points. And your cards need 6s to be popped. Like everyone has their pros and cons, and Berserk leaving as a potential could be really bad in 6 months instead of being like there's cards in the format that have terrorized me for 2 months in a row, 8 months in a row that have never left, that we were like, oh, I'm hoping that one goes, is just a weird, interesting, like maybe no cards are ever safe in my BNR. And that's just a weird thing of like, if I did dedicate the last 2 months before Pro Tour to try and be the 1 out of 85 people that have the cojones to play Berserk Reinhardt, you feel like why are you picking on me? I was trying to do something pretty cool. And I like when people are doing stuff that's pretty cool because then that inspires other, and we have other instead of just there's 8 decks at the Pro Tour. Everyone's going to go meta deck these and play this game as math as possible because this is what proved it. I think it is cool to have those math people get obliterated by a Berserk Reinhardt every other weekend.
I think that's a fair point. Obviously the counter is like, if Berserk becomes consistent, then it just sucks to lose to, rather than just like, hey dude, high five because you did it. You did the thing you were trying to do. Great job. Your side quest achievement was completed, but if then it's like all of a sudden that's kind of the deck is Berserk, and you just pop off and do 40 damage, that would blow. Because Rhinar also, or not Rhinar, but brutes have like so much armor now, that it would be feel bad. I can see that being the counterpoint also. But I'm in full agreement of people getting more creative with their deck building and deck strategies in the game. So there we go.
All right. So then, finally, the talk of the town, the new heroes, the new Enigma, and the new Zen. We have our heroes for Part the Misfail. All three revealed at once in a epic trailer that featured such things as feet and bare backs and snakes and some kitty cats and some swirling, it was like phantasmal DMT footsteps, which looked really cool. Also, more feet. There was a theme here. But, so shout out to LSS for just ripping off the Band-Aid, giving us what we wanted, telling us exactly what this set basically is, but leaving enough of a mystery to kind of keep us thinking and speculating and, talking about this set that's coming out in May. So, yeah, very exciting. We have a new assassin named New. Never going to get old saying that. New assassin. We have Enigma, a new illusionist, who the young art is dope and somehow way better than the adult art. Seems backwards, but that's fine. That Marvel will be cheaper and I will get it. And then we have Zen, who is our new ninja. So we have ninja, illusionist, and assassin all in a set, all in Mysteria, all looking cool, caring about blue cards, and something called Chi, which, according to Brian Gottlieb, who told our friends Connor and Brendan, nobody's gotten right. Nobody knows what it is. We're all wrong. He told that to them. I saw it happen. You'll see it in the vlog. So, but then I asked, has anyone said this to him? Which was the idea I said last time. And they said no. And I was like, so I am right. So that's cool.
Hell yeah. Way to be right, Colin.
So I'm very excited. I saw this trailer. I was at work still because this was Thursday night. And I did not go to the banquet because I didn't want to pay a bunch of money for, I just compare everything to Worlds, where the banquet was terrible and not worth the money or my time. So didn't care about it. Also, Taylor was flying in, so I had to pick him up. But they played it. I was at work. I'm sitting there. I'm getting all hype. Someone walks up, starts talking to me. I was just like, get the fuck out of my face. I am trying to watch this weird, somewhat sensual video about a card game that might be not appropriate for work, but it's after 6 o'clock, so it's not my fault. But yeah, I was super hyped, and I think I'm more hyped for this set than I was for heavy hitters. Probably more hyped for this set than I've been for a set in a while. So I don't know. Very, very exciting times. Who is also with me in the hype train? Choo choo, everyone.
Choo choo all the way.
Let's get going.
Oh yeah, this set cannot drop sooner. It's like, what am I doing without this set? That's how I feel. Why is it not here? It should be here now. That's how I feel.
Still dealing with Dromi is what we're doing.
I'll let you go here in a second, Blake. What's really interesting, and I haven't thought about until this very moment when I was like, right, draftable. We have an illusionist in the draft set and two classes who historically do not natively have 6 power attacks. How is that going to work?
Get ready to draft Rally the Rear Guard all over again, baby.
They love reprinting that card. Also, I forgot to mention Mystic is our new talent. We have a talent again. We're back to having talented heroes. Will it be busted? I don't think so. It looks like they've kind of toned it back a bit, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, draftable set, that is interesting.
I think it's interesting they haven't committed to have an illusionist without a talent attached to it. Of like, what does a regular illusionist look like? Of are all those cards not strong enough, or we want to do niche things with their weapons, or there's gonna be a third thing after dragons and angels. This is gonna be water spirits or whatever the hell they can come up with from this mythology. But like I was super hyped. I was there Thursday night. It was the last thing of a long speech. It was like, and now here's finally what you've been waiting for, the trailer. And to be honest, whenever I was watching this stuff, I thought it was two illusionists back to back because you can't see the print on it. And like I thought New was an illusionist as well, and it was going to be illusion ninja. And I was like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting. I did yell out the word feet, ironically, during when they posted feet. I think there is an idea of they're going to make Japanese boxes have an extra legendary. So my guess for that is probably like an art reprint of Phantasmal Footsteps that's only in the Japanese boxes because they need Phantasmal Footsteps and maybe they don't have access to a bunch of Monarch stuff. Because I don't really see how you could do an illusionist without Footsteps, because yes, it could be exactly like Dromi reprint, but Dromi with blues sounds absolutely awful. So I'm assuming it's going to be more, we need our action point back over and over again with Footsteps. I'm excited to play New. I think something about her hero power is busted that we've never seen before, of like, hey, Guardian, if you ever block my stealth cards, I'm going to be able to attack you with your own attacks anytime I pop off my chi turn. The other thing that's crazy about these three heroes is all three hero powers are instants. So I think that's something of we could not possibly fathom or guess what chi is going to be because they're all instant speed. And the only hit instant speed hero powers I think are Prism originally, Prism now, and then Phi. So each one of those, Kano, of course, each one of those has very specific windows to get the most value of those. So I think that's what these heroes are going to be, is like, are you a player that's had 3 years of hardcore matchup knowledge with everything? Grab a Mystic hero and start trouncing people.
What's cool too is that News is just instant. So she can do it as many times as she wants, whereas Enigma and Zen both are once per turn instants.
Whoa.
So
yeah, so you're like hold the line is in banish. Now I can play that blue defense reaction as an instant.
Just going to be Kanoing off the top of your deck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, it's so cool. The set's going to be so blue too.
The other thing
really
that
pretty.
I think for New that would be super sick that I heard someone say is like, if she has one dagger, who knows if it's legendary or if she can do two. If her dagger says the word stealth on it, and anytime you're blocking a dagger from her, that card gets banished. I think that's something where it's like, now this is like a true mill strategy, or like here's a surgical extraction. I'm gonna be banishing cards from your deck or your hand either way. You just decide which pile they go into first. It's pretty sick.
That is cool. I am also so excited about this set. I mean, this was happening as we were like on our way to the airplane, and I forget if it was Patrick. It was Levi. And he's just like, Mystic Assassin, just like randomly in the car on our way. We're like 2 minutes from the airport. I was like, fuck yeah, and my wife's driving, talking about something else, and I was like, okay, we gotta get through TSA before we look at this stuff. So, very, very exciting. I mean, the as the resident assassin player, I could not be happier. I don't know. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll try to keep them concise. One, news ability is super cool and interesting, but is like limited based on your matchup. Like Guardian and Illusionist is kind of like the most bang for your buck in terms of blues that are like big and troublesome. But then like you play something like Ninja and it's like, what am I playing? Like Dishonor is like a 0 for 2 without go again. You know, who cares if I can play that? You know what I mean? So it'll be really matchup dependent, I think. Who knows? New knows. That's who knows. Blah, blah, blah.
In the assassin mirror, you can banish
surgical
extraction
play
or
for free, baby.
Tendency.
You could
Or
play
just
the blue auras for free.
Yeah. Only matter, which is like a setup. It's like, cool. Now I have your blue auras, and then now I'm going to play like blue ravages from your banish zone also. And it doesn't have phantasm and it comes in for +2. What's up? How does that feel? Yeah, bad. I know. Can't even pop it because you only have illusionist attacks in your face. It didn't have phantasm anyway. Whatever weapon she has is going to be interesting. I never thought of that, Blake, that her weapon could have freaking stealth. That would be nuts. I hope, this is my hope, is that they move away from daggers and we get a totally different weapon. I would love that also for Illusionist, that they have like not a scepter, maybe another orb, but just something that doesn't have like another hero's text box next to it. You know, that's what I hope doesn't happen. Or, you know, if it does, it's all right. But I just would like them to grow in that way. And I would love it if Ninja had like a new type of weapon as well. That would be freaking...
He's holding a
He's
staff.
got a bow staff on.
Yeah.
Totally. But, I mean, Olympia's holding a pom-prom and Betsy's holding a giant barrel, you know? And they have neither of those things. So who knows what's going to happen.
Yet.
Right. Yet.
I think one thing for draft is where my mind goes to of like, oh, Zin's going to have 10 tigers and you're going to have 9 spectral shields. So you're like, cool, hit me for 10 times. I'll block 9 of them. I think that's kind of interesting of like, if you're at home trying to make Kitty Cat Katsu work this whole time, here's a clear, like, this person is going to make his own tigers. And now you can use all those new tiger things from round the table and like start paying attention to your crazy Artivore, your head leads the tail, your crazy cat turns are now going to be like even more possible because of chi, hopefully. And like when the illusionist is doing ward on every single piece of equipment and whatever, I think it'll be an interesting thing of like maybe her weapon says something of like, if ward pops, do some add counters and like keeping your one big spectral shield that you're swinging over and over again seems like a pretty cool mechanic for an illusionist.
I also, speaking of draft, so it's 3 classes, 1 talent. What is the like push and pull? Because there's always like some sort of tension in the draft, right? In like Bright Lights, it was everybody's exactly the same. In other sets, it's like we have talented, you know, the last 3 hero set, we had like a talented card or the essence card, so ice, lightning, blah, 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 to choose to read signals. In Uprising, you just picked Phi. In you know, our most current set and Outsiders, you had hybrid cards. So are we going to have like hybrid cards, or is the tension just going to be like the missed talent cards are going to be the ones that like you want that keep you open, you know?
I wonder what a ninja illusionist or an assassin illusionist attack would look like.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, we saw the that there is just mystic cards. So similar, this isn't like surprising, but similar to Light and Shadow, we have seen the two, the defense react and the attack react. So maybe there'll be like a lot of those, and each one like kind of has its like lean, like, you know, I mean, they're even like packaging these in, you know, like they're putting the attack react in the assassin one, they're putting the D react in the illusionist one. So maybe there will be like some kind of clearer signals by sending just these specific mystic cards. But I mean, they've done Ninja Assassin. It would be like, that's kind of a clear marriage, but doing like Illusionist Ninja would be much more difficult, but would be cool to see what they come up with.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited.
Card borders go hard too.
The Mist talent card borders.
Yeah, the Mysteria and the Mist talent.
Yeah,
looks pretty
absolutely
good.
Do.
Also, Zen, Tamer of Purpose. We didn't talk a lot about it. He looks dope.
Non-ninja players.
That's true. We are non-ninja players, but for our ninja fans out there, he looks dope. I know he's cat focused. I hope that's really cool. I hope all those cards that kind of didn't make sense and Katsu kind of find a home in this play style. I also hope it's not too, you know, narrow of a kind of buildings and deck building situation, but hard to say. His art is also the art on all these heroes is really great, I think.
Yeah.
And
so
his hero power says the word tiger and combo. So if you go type in those words into Fabry, Tiger Swipe, Key Unleashed, and literally Pouncing Key, and Mauling Key. Mauling Key is more for UPF. I think those being the payoffs for those without even, like, obviously there's going to be new ones in the set. Those are pretty good payoffs already. So I think he's going to be strong of your opponent's waiting, and like I think Ninja's always super cool because it's like it's going to be really hard for you to block this out correctly. And I think having an instant hero power where now I have a free tiger and I'm going to go get the combo thing that says if I do a tiger first and then swipe after, I can get more tigers is just going to be like, how many windows are there? And I'm used to like Artivore as a window, Ancestral Empowerment, and Breaking Scales. And now it's inherent hero power is just like, I'm definitely going to get this wrong and get absolutely owned by really good Zen players every time.
Somebody also pointed out that great point, and I'm going to try to not think about that because that's upsetting. Somebody was pointing out that Zen, the character, appears to be on the token Zen State, and that token no longer refers to Zen State, but that the state of Zen, the character. Like, that is the state Zen, the hero, is in.
He also says something about purpose as his name, and purpose is everywhere too, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Porpoise.
Wander with Purpose and Tamer of Purpose are the purpose cards. So, like, he kind of has the Katsu hero power, but it's harder to pull off, and you get a tiger attached.
I think Wander with Purpose, top 3 best cards ever, and is a Benji specialization, right?
Yeah, it should be banned in all formats by now. That's how good it is.
Someone was also saying that Zen was supposed to be Benji, but was it the Spring
Tidings is too good.
Spring Tidings is too good. Yeah, so interesting. I'm more into seeing. I know Benji players love Benji, but obviously his adult hero would be very different. So it's kind of like it's more of just a name situation. But because of that name, that specialization is too good. And instead of just banning it, they decided to name him Zen and make him about tigers. But seriously, hope he has this bow staff as a weapon because it's super cool. Like, let's explore other weapon types. Like, they came out so strong with having a ranger and bow and arrow, and then since then they're just like, here's a dagger. and a one-handed axe. He's like, come on, man. Give me some more.
Like, here's this flail, but it's wildly unplayable.
Yeah.
Here's a scythe, wildly unplayable.
Here's a rock. It's just
so
take
hard.
up space in your meta and not ever be played.
Here's a rock. It's inscrutably hard to learn how to figure out when you can actually attack with it, even though it's a rock. Like, why is the rock the hardest thing to understand when you can attack with it?
Because it's a rock, dude.
It's heavy.
Rocks
it's
are hard.
a rock.
Hard as a rock.
Poor rock.
Coming up next, we do like to do our shout outs because we shout out our friends, we shout out people we know, people we don't know, people we've met, and it's all about good vibes. So riding these hype train. Oh man, I had a great joke, but now it's gone. So
Fuck.
we're already gone.
I believe
So
you.
we're into shout outs. I'll try to sneak it in later. A couple shout outs from me. Already said this first one. So second one, shout out to Bryn, funniest person on Twitter from the Banish Zone. Met her in person. She was dope. She was like even cooler than I thought she was on Twitter. So that was really fun. Got to hang out, chat a bunch. We were both waiting in line to meet James White, and we chatted for a long time. So that was very cool. Also, shout out to Oliver and Yichin for running their cube draft for everyone who wanted to, like in the back there, just like literally like running games and like small tournaments for people to play, like, which is a lot of work and effort that they've put into their cubes, which was so cool. I was like, pack one, pick one. I got
Gaze the Ages.
I got Gaze the Ages. It's like, hell yeah, I'm going to be Kano. And then I had 2 Gaze the Ages. And then I had a Blazing Ether. And I was like, I have a Stir and a Fork Lightning. I was like, this is basically just a good blitz deck that I've built here. So that was super fun. So thank you guys for doing that for everybody. It's a big boon to the community.
Absolutely. It gets even deeper. Like, they made tiny pamphlets with custom art and a breakdown for the draft and pack collation and stuff and what the tokens are. Like, fucking sweet. And then now they're handing out pins based on your placement. If you go 2-1, you get a Ragamuffins. If you go 3-0, you get a Coronet Peak pin. And it's pretty exclusive, cool club to be a part of. And that's just like,
I bet it is.
Colin lost his Ragamuffins game to me in a really terrible fashion. I beat the living crap out of Colin. Not only was he dead, but he also had no cards left, and his soul left his body. We were just quiet.
Yeah, great way to end a great weekend.
What the heck, Taylor? Why did you beat him that bad?
Because I'm a dirty assassin ranger player, I guess. I don't know. Frostbites are fucked up. That's the key to that story. Yeah. Shout outs. My shout outs are my new best friend. Well, already my good friend, but now he's moved into best friend status, Miles. He was my tournament buddy for the whole calling, and he made that experience much more memorable and enjoyable by being himself and just being a person to talk to between rounds and stay grounded with. And we both day 2'd. We both top 50. We cashed, both of us. So that was just really fun. And thank you so much. And then he gifted me a really dope card. I posted on Twitter. Go check that out. A really rad custom Already Dead. And I almost cried. And then huge shout outs to Patrick and Levi. They were my main dudes for the lead up to the calling, and they helped me get ready, and we're always down to play games, and we're down to take it serious and be thoughtful, and they helped me a ton, and I just really appreciate them. So shout out to them. And shout out to Colin for letting me stay at his house on his couch. He has a great couch.
All right, I have
That's
a
it.
shout out. The saddest shout out around. A shout out to Ian Zhang. 9th place finish on Team Stroopwafel, which just it's devastating. If you were following along in Baltimore, you got 9th there. If you were following along in Jersey, he lost his winning in there. I think he was 11th. And if you were following along in Lille, he top 8'd. So just an unbelievable player to play 2 different heroes across 4 wildly different metas and just always be in the running, and like to be so unlucky. It's just, I don't know. He was very sad, and we were like heartbroken for him. So shout out to him. Just like honestly, maybe the best player in the world at this point. Like after all these results, it's a shame that he's not playing his top 8 games that he should be, but man, just an incredible player.
And on the flip side, for my shout out, somebody from my local Tuesdays that we always play, I think he's been not frustrated, but like he plays Arachne. And we did say that we have a lot of illusionists nearby, and he's always been trying, like, till the wheels come off of let's play 6 Razor Reflex. Let's give Arachne a go again a whole bunch. Let's do this with Arachne. How about I take this out? Arachne. And he usually goes 1-3 or 2-2 on our Tuesdays and has been frustrated. Let's play some games afterwards. And okay, I think this is what I need to change. Maybe he's been really good at another game called Magic before, so he does have the mind to go deep into a tournament. 7-1 at the Colin in day 1, which was like, oh my gosh, like congrats, man, like everything's working out. The sentence he said to me is, I get so much negative feedback, and I don't think it's us like being negative towards him, but like we're beating him on a Tuesday because we know what he's doing. And when he walks into all these other people who maybe don't have a really good Arachne meta, like he's gonna punish you. And I think one thing that was pretty cool to see was Blue Pitch from Hong Kong was like, our Victor list did crazy numbers. But one of those 2 losses that they had was to Brian De La Torre on that Victor. Like Victor lost to Arachne, and Brian De La Torre beat the guy from Hong Kong. And like, maybe that doesn't get you $200, maybe it doesn't get you $10,000, but I think that's something that maybe he can tell this story to everybody, get everybody pretty hyped. He can build from this, and all of us can go, oh, I could have a Brian De La Torre like moment and put it all together and do really well, even if I've been not down on the game, but maybe like I really want to do well this weekend. And then it happens to Brian De La Torre, and it was really cool to be listening to him and be like, oh, did you win? And he just kept saying yes. And it was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big shout out.
When I won my game to make day 2 also on Arachne, Brian like was right there and instantly ran up and shook me and was like, yeah, we did it, dude. Day 2 on Arachne, we did it. And I just was like, fuck, I'm so tired. That game was so hard. Thank you, Brian. Like, could not match his psych, but it was fucking awesome and so sweet, you know. So cool.
Hell yeah.
What a dude.
Coercive tendencies, baby. Let's go.
Graven Call.
Card's also very good.
All right, Blake, we're ready now.
Hey, let's say what we played this weekend and how we did.
It's better the second time.
Here we are in the main segment talking about Pro Tour LA. We're going to walk everybody through. We had 4 very different experiences, so we're kind of going to go over what everybody did, kind of high level, and then we'll break it down day by day and kind of give people the running stories of our events. That being said, Zayne, why don't you start us off? What'd you do this weekend?
I failed dramatically at Pro Tour. No. Day one of Pro Tour was a big
No
success.
spoilers.
Sorry, yeah. Oops. So I registered Azalea, Ace in the hole, and that was largely a comfort pick. I think it was an okay meta choice. I was hoping to hunt KOs. I did not encounter as many as I wanted to. But day one I went 3-1 in CC. I beat a Dromi. I beat a KO. I lost to an aggressive Victor, and then I won the mirror. And then I went in to draft and drafted a pretty strong KO deck and went 2-1 in draft. So ended day one 5-2 and was feeling good at that moment.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Taylor, what did you do this weekend?
Well, I played the Calling, but on Friday I joined you for some Heavy Hitters Sealed to get my just one EPOT promo, and then just kind of milled about while I waited for the Super Armory and just kind of took in the vibes and that sort of thing. And the Super Armory was fun. Went 2-2. And really like instantly just forgot about that Super Armory and thought about the Calling afterwards. I wasn't like, oh fuck, I went 2-2. Like this is bad for Saturday or whatever, you know? So it was no big deal. You know, what did I play in this Super Armory? I played I took Arachne Huntsman and beat a Dorinthia, beat a KO, I think, and then lost to a Bravo who just like basically starvoed me and I died, and then also lost to a Dromi. So it's just like, all right, here we are, you know. And it was a okay day, you know. Saw the buddies. I mean, it was great.
Nice. Blake, what did you do this weekend?
Friday was Super Armory. What else? When did I get the energy potion? I guess that was Friday too. I did the energy potion thing on Friday to get it. What was it though? Must not have been that memorable.
Or it was like CC also in the morning.
Yeah, there was a CC in the morning and there was Heavy Hitters Sealed.
Friday, what I did, let's start with breakfast. We woke up a little late, and like Friday, what are we gonna do? We went and got a breakfast buffet, so that was pretty nice. Of like just taking your time, relax, get the breakfast buffet. And so I missed all the early stuff, but like the Super Armory, the night before, I went 2-2. I called the judge on myself. I was doing some like perfect practice stuff of like, oh, I screwed this up. Let's who cares about these actual matches? Let's try. I beat somebody local on a Bravo, and I had 26 blood debt, and I went from 26 health, took 13 damage, banished 13 cards off the top of my deck, and then proceed to use those 26 cards to kill the Bravo as like presenting the most damage I've ever presented as Levia. So I felt really good at that moment. And then I think I won, lost. So it was like, okay, like feel good, feel bad, feel good, feel bad. And it's like, okay, we got all the kinks out, allegedly. And like that night we went to a bar. We went to a bar every night. But it was like, okay, kinks out. So that was Friday.
All right. And then, but on the weekend, you also played the Calling.
The Calling, right? On Saturday.
Okay, cool. All right. For me, my whole goal this weekend was to do none of these big events and not worry about a single thing other than having a good time and opening some packs, buying some cards, vlogging all my homies as they played in their big events. And I was successful and was the best choice I've ever made going into a big event like this. So that was super cool. I was also at the Heavy Hitter Sealed. You know, I think it was 2-2. Then I did the Super Armory. I went 1-3, but my one win was spectacular. Prism against Victor. It was 40-9, and then I beat him with 18 health and didn't lose a single health point after I got put down to 9. So that was awesome. When I presented that yellow pummel, it was great. I forgot to crack my Goliath gauntlet too, and I was like, damn it, this could have been even better. But we took the erudition, draw 2 cards, go again, into the soul situation. No phantasm.
Discard on hit.
Great. Yeah, discard on hit. So many things I had to say over and over again. It was a lot of fun. I don't remember my other matchups because I lost them, but still had a good time. So that was it. That was Friday. So Saturday's day 2 of the Pro Tour, day 1 of the calling. Lots of shit going on.
Busy day.
Who's taking us through?
I'll start us off again. I sit down, day 2. I'm sitting in seat 6, and who do I see sit down in seat 3, aka my round 1 opponent for day 2, but Michael Hamilton. So we're drafting, but I know I'm gonna play Michael. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Okay.
I have to make the 50-50 call between Brute and Guardian kind of early in the draft. And there's a pack that comes with 3 like pretty strong Guardian cards and 1 Brute card. And I was like, okay. I'll be the Guardian. That's fine. I like playing Betsy. Well, that was the wrong decision, and there was 3 Guardians at the table, and our decks were all very medium. So I ended up going 1-2 in this draft pod, which was very frustrating. But I mean, honestly, was happy to even get a win with the deck I had. It was very middling. So I already knew I was out of like real contention. Like I was only really playing for top 64 at this point. And then I just got kind of like just bad variance, and I don't know. I was not as focused as I wanted to be, but I don't know if it would have mattered. My deck just went ice cold. I played against a more defensive Victor. Then I played against Michael Fung on KO, so I was happy to see KO, and I got the win there. It was my only CC win of this day was against Michael Fung. Then I played against the Dromi, and it just literally, like, all my poppers were at the very bottom, never saw them. And then I played against a Kano, who warmongers me on turn 0. And I was just like, this is how my day's going, I guess. So a frustrating day, probably the single worst day of Fab in my entire, like, professional, with huge air quotes, career. I went 2-5 on the day to end at 7-7, which was just a very disappointing result after a hot start. But I knew I was playing like a risky deck a little bit with Azalea. I was hoping to just play, KOs primarily, and then, felt okay about the Dromi matchup and Katsu matchup, but luck was not on my side on Saturday, but had a great time seeing everyone and was cheering on Ian the whole day, and then was a little extra gutted when he was 9th. But that was my PT. I'm frustrated to have gone 2-1 in draft on day 1 and 1-2 in draft on day 2, which is exactly what I did in Baltimore and Lille. So one of these days I'm going to 2-1 the day 2 pod. But for now, I'm just forever 3-3 in limited.
You're going to 3-0 and then you're going to 3-0, bud.
I can't wait.
I
can't wait.
Day 2's rough, man. Like, there's so much time between, when you finish day 1, then going into day 2. It's like, I don't know. Having that focus and endurance it's a lot to do.
It's also, I think, hard to do it. I don't know, because I've never done it, but I can only imagine, like, going from 4 rounds of CC, then into draft, then back into draft, then back into CC. That seems like a hard way to do it, and a tough format. I don't know if that's a format from Magic or why they choose it that way, but it's hard. But that's part of the game, I suppose, too.
Kind of a funny story about that was I played Michael Fung in round 12, so we'd played 1 CC game since limited, but I attacked him with a Rabble, so I revealed the top card on my deck, and he was having a rough day as well, but he just flipped over the top card of his deck, like we were clashing. I was like, and as soon as he did it, he like was so embarrassed and like apologetic, but and I just couldn't help but laugh. I didn't even care to call a judge, and he ended up blocking with a pack call. He blocked with a pack call, so it actually didn't even matter. But I just thought it was so funny and like a good representation of like it is hard to change your mindset from like draft to limited and back.
Totally.
But yeah,
I mean, like context switching between two very different things is difficult, and it takes you time to like, ramp up into it. I do that at work all the time where it's just like I'm trying to focus, get something done. All of a sudden I have to completely change everything I'm thinking about and do a completely different task. And then at some point go back to the thing I was doing before that I had like gotten to a good space with, but now I'm like, what was I doing again? What was I thinking? And like that's really difficult. I know a lot of people have been talking on Twitter about the validity of a split format like this and whether or not it's like actually good, which I think is fair. And I think it definitely takes a different kind of ability and skill to do that than to just, keep playing the same deck through, this a tournament straight. And I think that's something that is I don't know if LSS will ever change their mind on how they do that, but it definitely I can understand that being like really frustrating. It's like I'm doing so well and then all of a sudden like I have to play like this slightly different game, and hope I do as well with like a random set of cards,
For sure. Yeah.
But we are proud of you, Zayne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I'm disappointed with the result for sure. Especially like I think I ended like 120 or something, which, like, yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme, it's good. It's fine. It's like I made day 2. I've made day 2 of all of these pro tour level events, and that's something to be proud of, I guess. But just need one to go. Need some breaks, I guess, in limited. I always feel like I'm losing on like the just like variance of limited, and there's obviously less. I don't know. People like to chalk it up like there's so much variance in limited, but there's still there's not as much as people say, but there still is some.
Yeah.
But all right, enough about my Saturday.
Well, I wanted to ask you because there was some discourse about the collation of packs in some of the pods.
Yeah.
At Pro Tour. What's your take on that? Valid, not valid? Really small sample that actually was affected, or what?
I think it's getting overblown. I mean, like, I don't know. There was 4 back in applause in one of my pods. Like, that's kind of weird. But people were saying like weird, like there was 6 blues in the whole pod. Like, no, like I didn't see anything like crazy. Like the 4 back in applause is odd. That shouldn't happen in a sealed box, but we know it's not a sealed box. Like, every time they say like, oh, call a judge if there's an issue with your pack, what they do is they just replace the pack, right? So like that's a pack that's not from your box. That's going to introduce like some wonkiness. All my packs had the correct structure of, 5-3-3, 2-1. So like, or whatever it is. I don't know. I've already forgotten it.
Right.
But like, I didn't have any weird packs. There was some weird stuff in the pod. All my pods were 3-3-2. So maybe I had a charmed experience, but I didn't hear much complaining about it at the event. I think it's kind of people blowing it out of proportion.
No way.
Fair. Totally fair. Okay, I guess I'm the next one. Okay, so it's the calling day 1. Going into this, I mean, we're bringing Arachne, so I'm just happy. At first, I thought it was gonna be 7 rounds, so I'm just like 4-3. That's all I want to do. Then I know it's 8 rounds. I'm like, okay, well, how about 4-4? Because 5-3 or whatever sounds way harder. So we'll just downgrade the goals to 4-4. And I had changed. This is kind of the culmination of my evolution as a player, I suppose, or just a step on my evolution as a player. Like when we first were serious about the game, we were having pretty regular, rigorous testing days over webcam and that sort of thing, and trying hard, and that's when I day two'd another calling and won some road to nats and stuff, and was like, cool, I guess I'm good at this game, so we'll just do that formula. And then life got in the way, and then you're like trying to find shortcuts and be a little bit less prepared, and then your results suffer, and you're like, okay, well, it was the process, not my inherent talent. And then you're like, okay, well, now I'm even busier. Maybe I'll just do Talishar stuff, and then just like no results and feeling super unprepared. So then finally, as like a car group or just the Attack Action podcast group of dudes, we were just, all of us didn't do well at like a PQ or something. And we were just like, okay, we probably should practice for the next event we go to. We can't just like fucking show up and top anymore. We need to like practice or just play Talishar games. So I made sure this time I had intentional practice days and used my time a bit more wisely and intentionally, and it really paid off because I felt prepared for the event at the calling. And then, I won my first round in the mirror, which was pretty insane. I think we're going to do a deck tech on my Arachne deck, and I'll go into like excruciating detail in that probably about everything. But so subscribe to the YouTube page if you if you want to get all them deets, if you're still listening to this episode an hour and a half in. So the mirror was spooky, but we got there. Then we played a KO, super prepared for KO. Victory, round 3, we play like Dorinthia, and then it's Decimator Dory, and we just like slowly die to that deck. And you're just like, I can't really be mad because he's doing the same thing I'm doing, which is I'm showing up with a hero and you sideboarded wrong and don't really know what my game plan is, and I got you. And I just was like, cool, kudos to you, good luck. Then we played another KO. Yeah, totally. Like, can't be mad, We're just two birds of the same feather. There's some sort of saying like that. KO, round 4, I think. Victory there. Just another, like, okay, Graven Call is like the fucking sweetest card we've ever gotten. And it's so powerful, and it's so good. And so many opponents read it, and the whole time we're like, every round it was like, whoa, so you can like buy it back and it gets a +1 counter? That's pretty cool. I'm like, uh-huh. They're like, does it get more than 1 counter when you buy it back? I'm like, no. So when you flick knives it, does it do 2 damage? No, it just does 1. Oh, okay, cool, I get it. And then I would like kill you with that dagger, and I'm like, you did not get it, good sir. So that happened a lot. Round 5, I think, is my second loss, something like that, and it's against Dromi, and I almost win that matchup because he had no clue about Regicide and just wore the crown and just willy-nilly was using Burn Them Alls, and I just was like, oh my god, please draw Regicide, please draw Regicide, please draw Regicide, and just 2 Burn Them Alls, and then like back-to-back Asvalize just like chipped me too fast, and I just could not get there. So, and then I told him about the card, and he was like, oh fuck, I almost got like knowledge gapped. Shout out to Jeremy, very nice dude.
You're like, don't worry, Dromi's that good. You could not know about this and still beat my ass.
Yeah, I literally have like the game-winning silver bullet card in my deck that like literally wins me the game, and I just can't fucking draw it. It was 2 hands from the top right next to a shred. So even if somehow he had 1 card like Flamescale Furnace to like block part of it with something or something. I don't know. Wouldn't have been able to. Flamescale Furnace doesn't block it by its own. And then I went out. So then I have to play Kano. And I'm like, or maybe I played my third Rhinar. I can't remember. I think I played my third Rhinar. I play a Bravo in there. Win a crazy Bravo match. It was really swingy. Win with a El Clasico dagger. Graven Call, they're at 2 health. Blocks it. Shred it. Dead. Love that. One of my favorite ways to kill you is shred a dagger. Played another KO one there. I played a Kano, and I was unprepared. I have no Oasis. I have AB1, and I just was like, cool, my tournament ends here. I guess I can still be 5-3 and get my goal. But then God came out of the heavens and touched me and said, no, Arachne, you will win this game. And I had enough surprise damage, and he had enough bad variants where he hit an eye off the top and a D-pot when he needed spells to chip or kill me. And I attacked with frickin' Hurl, flicked one of my daggers at him so that he had then to block it, and he blocked it with just Tunic, and I just had Concealed Blade and just went Concealed Blade, and then it was exact lethal, and he tried to kill me, and I survived, and boom. We survived for one more round, and then we played. Yeah, I know, it was crazy. I got Aswardia to sign that exact card too, and told him that story, and he was like, nice. That's dope. And I was like, it was dope. And then I played Ian Smith from Canada, Canadian. And for both of our win and ends, in quotations, for day 2. And it was definitely the best game, I think, of the tournament. We both were like he's a great opponent to play against. We've played each other a few times, like in Portland, because he lives in Vancouver, and that's like a place you can go to relatively easily if you're Canadian to play. And just a really great game. It was super close, trading blows. Like literally I was looking back at my life pad, and it was like we both were at 22, then we both were at 19, then we were both at 15, etc. Like the whole time down, and I wound up winning that game. And we had a good chat afterwards, and then we talked even the next day, like, hey, both of us were like, hope we weren't like had the wrong vibe after we won that made you upset. We were like, no, it's all good, it was cool. So boom, day 1 ends, and I'm freaking 6-2, and I made day 2 with like a pretty good record, way better than I thought I was going to be, and it was awesome. I was freaking stoked. And then we all went to go get drinks, and it was great.
What a day.
Yeah, it was a great Saturday.
Blake, how did your Saturday go?
Okay, so if you take half of Zayne's story and half of Taylor's story and put it all together and make it 2 notches worse, that was basically my experience. I was pretty excited to play in the Colin. It was a hometown. We can do this. It's the closest tournament that's ever going to be to my house. Ha ha ha. That was in the blog. That was me. It was frustrating. The first round I played against a Kano, and I've done that before at San Jose Colin when I played Rhinar, and it was like, okay, I know how to beat Kano because I play against Evan and Strat. Like we were running this match over and over again. I think Evan kind of overextends when these Kanos were being a little more conservative. And my third matchup was also against Kano, and it didn't really feel great to start off my tournament when I'm like really good at burst damaging other physical decks to play against the arcane stuff. And it was kind of hard to kind of settle in. And I've realized that as a player, I'm not mentally fortitude. If you throw me off my game, I kind of get tilted and fall even further. And I don't know quite how to do that where like I can just brush it off. But like 2 extremely close games to Kano in the first 3 were just, it was a mental thing that I could not overcome. I lost by 1 to somebody in New Jersey. I lost by 2 to the third one. And it was just, I keep drawing 2 Art of Wars in the same hand. I can't really pay this off. And also not like I know there's an Aether Wildfire there. I saw it whenever I did the Sin packing. I know he has it already. I have to play this by the book. I can't just blow him up and hope I don't get blown up. I know it's going to happen. So that was pretty frustrating. I won the second match, so it wasn't like I owe 3 drops, like where I could just be like, come back tomorrow. Just shake it off and like pretend this never happened. So I was like, I'm going to stay till the bitter end. I don't know if I should do that in the future. I think the people that do thought process of like, if it's 1 and 3, just give it up. But I don't really go to a bunch of these games. I don't travel to the East Coast. I don't go to 15 callings a year. I go to like 1. So there was the idea of like, I want to play my 8 matches. I want to have this. And then it was like, I'm crushing a Kasai in round 4. I'm ahead by 20 health. I draw 8 cards in a row that don't turn off Blood Debt. I end up doing more damage to myself than they do to me over a certain period. And it was just so like, oh crap. I missed a Blood Debt, so I was actually dead instead of alive by 1 when we recounted. It was really weird. It was like, I didn't mean to do that. It just, I'm thrown off. I'm playing a hard deck, etc., etc. I was really excited, and it just felt like nothing was going right. But we're gonna keep going. And now I'm playing like a really smart KO player who like is after we're done playing and he beats me, and it seems like I lost every game by like under 5. Like lost by 1, lost by 2, lost by 1, lost by 2, lost by 4, and then the Prism match at the end when I can't draw any 6s, I just concede when they're at like 11 health because I'm like I don't want to be here anymore. And it was something where you start to think, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? I think I posted on Discord, maybe I don't know how to prepare for this. Maybe I think I've expressed this to some close people near me of like, I'm pretty good at Fab for about 4 or 5 hours. But that 6th round, that 7th round, that 8th round, those are the championship rounds for Pro Tour or Pro Quest. Those are the championships rounds for Road to Nats. I can't really go that far. I don't know if it's a long COVID thing, conspiracy, or if it's a Blake's just not smart conspiracy, or what could it be of Blake needs to play more consistent decks that have more consistent power. Go ahead and show up with an Oldham. There's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and show up with a Dromi or Blake that's going to mental fatigue you even further. I think I woke up on Sunday being like, holy shit, did I get in a car accident yesterday? Because I felt so tired. And it's just something when you're looking at people who are like, this is my 3rd top 8 Pro Tour, my 2nd win, or whatever the hell those people are amassing in this game. You're like, what is the difference between me and them? Should I have been playing Magic for the last 10 years to have the pedigree? Should I? Nope. I have to force my way onto a team. I have to do 95 drafts. I have to get perfect practice with like as I was having breakfast with Taylor on Monday and him saying like, oh, I ran over certain matches with certain people. It's like, that is better than what I was doing, but I was prepared. But maybe there's the variance of, oh, I don't really want to play Kanos. And that's what I kind of like, I'm playing AB3 instead of Spell Void. There's a whole discourse of that with Levia side stuff. But like, maybe it just wasn't your day. But it feels like a lot of times it's not your day. How can you avoid that sentence? How can you avoid, oh, variance got me? And like talking to the extremely smart KO player from Portland, he was like, just play 2 Art of Wars against me instead of 3, and then you won't draw all 3. And it's like, bro, it's my best card. Like, what are you talking about? Like, and like, it's interesting seeing, I want to go away from the idea of math, because I like the game for the music. And I've joked about this before, but it's true to me of like, I don't want to see my pitch stack 15 cards away and get the sigil at the perfect moment. Like, and now we know that like, oh, that's just how his deck was. And like, maybe he didn't think of that. It was like a Hail Mary and it worked. But like the music of that instead of the exact math is more fun to me. And I'm talking to some of my opponents and they're talking about this game and an academic level that I don't ever want to reach. And it's kind of like, if this is the pedigree that I'm going to have to do to go even 4-4 at a calling, I can imagine what the pedigree of this math is at 8-0 at a calling. And part of me is like, do I lean into being the funny guy that has funny YouTube stuff and just be the joke guy? Do I lean into, I'm just going to go full force at commentary for the rest of this and try to, because that was some of the highlights over the weekend, was like having people come up to me and say like, hey, my girlfriend only watches Flesh and Blood with me when you're commentating. She loves how you talk. She bring you make it accessible to her whenever it's time. Like that, then you switch commentators and she goes back and does laundry and then she like forgets about it. But when you come back, like she loves it, the 3 floating stuff. And it was like, okay, like where do I fit in this game where I'm not going to be extremely disappointed? Because I know we went to go have fun on Saturday night, but I'm just in my head and so angry at myself that like I don't want this to affect my relationships with my friends and whatever. But I was hoping to have like a cool 5-3-6-2 day, and that's just not what happened. And it is a thing of, I was asking some pro players, some not so pro players, some everything of, what are your results right now? Does this make you want to go twice as hard, or does this make you want to kind of like go the other way? Because I'm thinking kind of the other way right now. But talking to Rhea, she was like, I know where I lost on every piece of my Prism game. I want to go twice as hard. I was like, okay, cool. I don't know about you, Zane, if you're going to say twice as hard, but like part of me is like, it would be heartbreaking if I flew to Japan and then did this. But like, maybe because we were in LA and I live here, we weren't doing the extra stuff of like, I get to see all the pagodas and see the vending machines that I've heard about for 30 years. It's really cool. Look at all my souvenirs from Japan, would be the extra stuff that would make me really enjoy this weekend, besides just, who cares if I went 2-6? I got to play the game, see the world. And that's a lot of extra stuff for you guys to digest. But that's what was going in my head. And I think there was a layer too of like, part of me is like, oh, I wish I was commentating, but I'm not at the level of the other commentators and maybe the relationships they've built to do that. But that was another thing in the back of my head of like, oh, I'm going to play, and to fail at playing when I think I maybe could have succeeded in other ways stung even more. And all of that was just jumbled around in my head. And I'm trying to drink beer and hang out on a Saturday, and it's just, I need to just go to sleep and forget about this as soon as possible, and maybe live the dream of like, I could be the best new player. I could be the best mystic assassin player of all time. But I've done that for like 5 sets of like, maybe I'd be the best Olympia player. Maybe I'd be the best Teklo player. This is just ramble over, but it was just some negativity that I needed to get through because I'm a negative person, but I wish I had done better and I just didn't.
Yeah, I think that is a relatable story for a lot of people, you know, and including myself. I've been in that same freaking boat, you know, where I'm just like, who am I? And what is my place in this game? And, you know, it took me a long, probably like one of our whole years of the podcast for me to like kind of
a podcast year.
Yeah, a whole podcast year, which is different.
They're slightly different, yeah.
They're slightly different. Any podcaster will tell you that. Any white guy with glasses and a mustache on a
tattoos
coast
on their hands,
with tattoos, will definitely tell you a podcast year is different. And you know, I went through that journey, and you're maybe going through that journey now. You know, I think Colin has gone through that journey as well, and it's a really, you know, Del Taco, I think, is kind of starting to go through that journey as well. And it's just, I think, normal when you're a part of the game for as long as we have been a part of it, and there's, you know, nothing wrong with it and that sort of thing. And I'm sure you will figure it out, but, you know, keep talking with your friends, keep asking them questions, keep questioning yourself and what you're doing. And there's no right or wrong answer. And you might try something out And I'm like, I'm going to be this guy. And then you're like, well, I actually don't like that guy. And you'll be a different guy. And you'll be like, well, this is a little closer. And you'll tweak that. And then you'll be like, cool. I'm very happy with where I am. You know? So, yeah. Anybody else have anything to say on that situation? Hopefully I made sense as well.
Yeah, I mean, I literally went through the same thing, and it was hard. I talked a lot about it on the podcast, and dealing with the fact that I spent a lot of time to prepare and practice and do these things, and then to come out, being like Zayne's day 2, like, whereas that was like his bad day versus a really good day. I don't have those good days of, doing really well, and then feeling very much tied, that my self-esteem was tied to that, which is a surefire way to, just ruin yourself. This, who we are is not how we perform in this game, and our value is not how we perform in this game. And, hearing that and believing it are very different things.
Absolutely.
And I think, I've no shame in saying I've talked a lot about it with my therapist, and it, was very helpful to talk about that and, understand, what is it that I want and figure out what that is. And when it comes down to it, like, I want to have fun. I want to play games that I like, and I want to be around people that I like, and I don't need to be caught up in a lot of this other stuff to do those, to achieve those goals. So why even worry about it, And I think part of it for me too is just like when we were in the pandemic and just playing Flesh and Blood all the time because I couldn't go anywhere else, and that was like I could rewatch all the movies I've seen with my wife, and not go outside, or I can play a bunch of Flesh and Blood and get really good at the game and feel like, oh, maybe I could be good at this, and then to come down from that being like, I guess I can't because now I have to go to work all the time and I'm busy and I have to do these other things that are also important. And even when I'm not, even when I'm trying really hard to waking up early 3 times a week to jam games and staying up late to practice games, and then just going in and not performing very well, it's a huge bummer, and it's hard. And some people are very good at just bouncing off of that, and that's fine. So many good players, like O2 dropped the Pro Tour, so I'm walking around, so I'm playing the Calling, and a lot of them resilient as fuck. Just yeah, I'm over here, I'm just gonna play this game, I'm having a good time, it is what it is. And that's just not a lot of us, but for the people who it is, it's not a problem. So it's nothing they have to really think about. But I think the way you figure it out is, one, divorcing yourself from results driven things. It's good to set a goal, and it's great when you achieve that, but it also doesn't mean that you're, there's anything wrong with you because you didn't. It just doesn't happen sometimes. It's a random card game. Like Zayne said on I think it was the first match of the Pro Tour top 8, a guy pulls Cast Bones on turn 1, skill difference, sometimes you just draw Cast Bones right at the beginning of the game and you can just pop off and do really well. Although I think he did end up losing, but still, it can feel that way. It can be that way. It's not always up to you. It's not always just down to your ability and everything like that. So I think it's how you bounce back from it and how you figure out where you want to be and exist in the game. And it's up to you. You don't have to do the calling. I didn't do the calling. It was the best. It was the best.
Yeah, I think
it's also the time where you get to play 12 games in a row. That's a rare thing to do. Yeah, Zayne, go for it.
I think similar to what they've said is just finding ways that are fun to interact with the game, like because ultimately it's a game, right? That's what we're here for. And even if the fun part of the game for you is engaging with the community and not playing on an armory day, like, you know, I was really discouraged after Lille. I guess it was like a year ago or so. Like I flew to France. I had no like vacation time really booked up, so I flew to France on like Wednesday and flew home on Sunday night. Didn't vacation at all. I joked to my wife that it might as well have been in Ohio. And then like I did bad. Like I went 7-7 or something at PT and like made no money and just spent money to go lose aggro mirrors. And then I came home and I was like, that was not fun. Like I did not enjoy that. Like it was good to see friends and that's when I had to really think about like, okay, like how can I engage with this game in a way that's fun? So I stepped away a bit. I moved back into playing like heroes I was really excited to play, which was at the time like Ice Lexi. This was kind of when Oliver and Ichin were putting out like the cube content, and then we see Bento Box, and I just found these like fun and interesting ways to interact with the game, to hang out with my friends, and it just kind of like brought me back to like why I like to play. And again, like I played Azalea at PT, like, you know, I had access to the KO deck. I had access to Ian's Dromi deck. Like I could have played those and, you know, maybe those were better choices, but like I like to play Ranger, and the fun of playing what I like to do is like it's why I'm here in the first place. Like why am I going away from that? Like obviously I like to win. But like I have to know what I signed up for, and I think that's why like I can stomach this result more than Lille, was that like I kind of knew what I was signing up for. Like, and not saying that like, oh, you played Levi, like you can, you know, this should like this could happen, but like knowing that like the choices that you make leading up to a tournament, including the deck selection, like are gonna have a big impact, and like just mentally preparing yourself for like I might die to Blood Debt to this, or like or not, right? Like I don't want to die to Blood Debt, so I'm gonna play KO, even if like I think KO's kind of boring, or you know, whatever it may be. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to it, and I think just remembering like this is fun, and the people in this game like care about you, and you know are happy to see you, and it's winning feels good, but it's not the end all be all of this game.
Totally. Those are, man.
Play Bento Box.
You make me cry.
Yeah. Play more cube. Yeah,
And
I mean,
I think thank you for saying that stuff, because I hope people aren't feeling exactly the way I'm feeling, but if you are, it is something where I don't think we say all this stuff to people because it's such a competitive game that most of the time, anytime you're like, oh, they'd be like, get good or skill difference or whatever, instead of like, let me help you gather your stuff and get you out of here and get you a beer as quickly as possible. It's just like, it's a hyper competitive environment, but I think this community is also can help you through if you tell people stuff instead of just keeping it to yourself and being like whatever. Because like even the next day, a day later, I was like, my truly good friend Garrett was like, let's play a game, and it was Riptide versus my Leviathan deck, and I was so angry anytime something was going astray. Of like it's remorseless trigger, and he's like, did you take one? And it's like, I will. And I was like, I don't like the person I am right now and the anger, but it was just like, I don't know. Like, I need to not play Flesh and Blood for like a couple weeks, come back and be like, now I'm excited. Pick a new Reinhardt deck that plays Berserk, and pick a new Reinhardt deck that plays something else, and just get back to playing Reinhardt and having fun. Or try out this deck tech with Taylor and play that deck or whatever, and try something new. I think, but what I'm trying to say is thank you. And I think reaching out or saying stuff is smarter than internalizing, dumping out of this game because you don't have stuff. Reach out to your parasocial relation. Like tell us about it. We could do a mailbag about it. We could do whatever you want. Like, if this is something where you're like, this reminds me of something I did, reach out to me on a Discord or a Twitter message, and I can talk to you too. Because I like talking about this shit, because I think there's been other communities I've been in where we're not all 30 something with college degrees and emotional relationships with other people, where you could just get left behind or whatever. Weird tangent on the side of that, but okay, thank you, bye.
Hyper relevant though, honestly. Like, we're talking about PT and the calling, and like each event had hundreds of people, and I would say, all but 20-ish per event left kind of disappointed in different ways. So I think it's very relevant and a good conversation to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've said it on this podcast a few times. Like, round 1 of the calling, half the people lose. You know what I mean? It's a coin flip that first round, whether you win or lose, basically. And if you have a good matchup or a bad matchup, And I said it a lot this weekend, was just like, I was feeling very introspective or outrospective. I just have been around the game long enough and been on different levels of engagement in the game, and I felt like a really kind of outsider's perspective of the whole vibe of the event for different people and zones and stuff. And you just realize that, like, even though the OP system, the main way we engage in this game is a competitive thing, like even Armory is like not fun. I mean, it's fun, but it's like, it's competitive. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's trying to go 4-0. Everybody's trying to win the thing. It's the baby step into competitiveness, and so we get, I think, wrapped up in that's what this game is all about. But like, being at the calling and kind of trying to have, or just at the PTLA or whatever the fuck we call it, LA, for the weekend, I just felt like I had such perspective on how many different ways people are engaging in this game and spending their time and having fun. You know what I mean? Like, Colin played no big events. Patrick, friend of the show, played in, like, I felt like 400 different events and had a different highlight in everything. Like, at some point he just was like, I have no events, I'm just going to buy stuff. And must have told me 400 stories about the different cards he bought and trades he made and how they didn't have foiled this, but he got it at first edition, so that's okay. So like, he had many experiences that were like really positive and that sort of thing. So just keeping that in mind too.
Yep.
That the game is what you make it in your reality. That makes sense? Is that too metaphysical? Are these too many college words in a row?
Can you say juxtaposition too?
Yeah, the juxtaposition of the anti-disestablishmentarianism on top of democracy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I think it's a big thing to talk about, and a lot of people don't talk about it. And I think, one thing that we've always been very earnest on this show is we have talked about it a lot and struggled with it and trying to find our place and coming to terms with, like, being a casual player is 100% fine, and I can gain a lot of enjoyment in doing that, and it's a lot easier to do that as well because I just go do things and enjoy them. So but you also might just need a little break, and you come back, and then you got that drive in you to try to do better with maybe a different deck and, like, pick up a different thing and, like, go for it. Like, that's really all it's all in how you deal with it and bounce back and find the way that is going to bring you joy and I think the hardest part is just like letting go of what you might think is right for you versus what actually feels right. And I think that's something that a lot of people deal with in a lot of different contexts. Like I said, not playing a big event. First time I went to a huge event like this and didn't try to play. I guess I went to the world premiere in Vegas, but that was kind of like a weird thing for Uprising. But first time I was at like a big calling or any kind of huge event and didn't play in the calling portion. And the whole day I was just like, this was tight. Like I walked around, not just segue too hard into my day too, but
no, you should. This is beautiful. Professional.
I just walked around and was taking B-roll of all the homies, all playing in the calling, and like checking in on people, seeing how they're doing, bad beats, cool victories, and it was just like it was really nice to see everyone do it and try to be supportive of them, and also just like kind of be out on the outside and enjoying it, and then being like, oh, okay, cool, I'm gonna go get my card signed by Azure Mazoa now because she's dope and I want to get these cards signed. I'm going to go shopping for a couple cards that I've been wanting. I'm going to do a little look to sell and trade some stuff. And it was just like, it was so much easier just to have a nice time and not be, because like once you're in the calling or anything like that, like it's so grindy. Like even just setting up and packing away your mat and your deck every round takes mental energy and physical energy, and it's kind of like anxious to do all that because you're like squashed in there and you're trying to roll it up quickly and roll it out and like figure out what they're playing and remember what your sideboard is and do all this stuff. It's just like, even doing it for the side events, I was like, holy shit. Like that's why sealed events I just started throwing the whole deck unsleeved into my back pocket and walking away. It was like I was like, hell yeah, I don't care about any of these cards. It's like it's fine. Like it's just me out here having fun going 1-2. Like I'm a 1-2 gamer and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think for me it was super fun. I did play Shapeshifter Sealed. That was a lot of fun. Betsy with a Spider's Bite and a Mandible Claw, and playing a bunch of ninja cards and lava bursting someone was hilarious. So yeah, that was mostly my day 2, and then when everyone was ready to go, we had our Attack Action Podcast meetup over there at the Highland Park Brewery, which was lots of fun. Good crowd of people. A bunch of our locals came out. A bunch of the NorCal group came out. Shout out to Nacho, or one of our new Patreon members who bought me a beer when I first got there. And then I was just like, "Oh, you're Nacho." It's like, it's Josh from like our local shit. I was just like, "Oh, cool." It's like when you like kind of like meet people again, or I don't know. It was just like a lot of fun to hang out and chat with everyone and just like get more into it, because I think there's a lot of people when we hang out and play Fab, and even when we talk about shit afterwards, it's usually just about the game, and I really felt like I didn't talk about Flesh and Blood really at all that night, which was awesome. It was just like, oh, Yichin, what do you do for a living? Oh, like like crazy. That's like not what I would have expected. And we're talking about like marriage and relationships with Garrett and Jacob and Haley, and like then we're talking with Bryn about like how she does a bunch of like crazy like synthesis stuff and like builds instruments, and I was just like, what the hell, this is awesome. So it was just a lot of fun, and I want to thank everyone for coming out to hang with us. Although maybe when you day 2 the calling, you shouldn't go out drinking late at night, but it's,
no way, dude.
You can't miss a drinking part.
Yeah, because what if I went 0-5 that day? We should have celebrate the success of that then.
True.
All right, so that was the end of day 2. What a day. Wow. All over just the emotional spectrum for all of us.
Indeed.
I'm glad that we could all be there for each other when we needed it, because sometimes we just needed space too, and that's okay. But then going into day 3, Taylor, the second best Arachne in the calling. never gonna live that down, or
I know
won't live that down for a while.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm glad there was double success, because it maybe means, well, for me it confirms the suspicion that Arachne is like one card away from being a super relevant deck, And I mean, part of the game for sure for me, and part of my success, was people just had no clue what my game plan was or how to play against me, which is a reason to pick the deck for sure. And I 100% like KO's, other than Ian, had like no idea what I was maybe going to do. Like, I asked Ian before our game on day 1, like, so all of these Arachne reps you have are going to pay off, right? And he was like, honestly, I've played against Contract Azuri some, and I have an idea, and it can't be that different or whatever, And I was like, well, just you wait, sir. So like, you get a lot of equity in that.
I mean, the hero power, right?
Yeah, totally. Hero power is different, but like, I just mean in terms of you can get wins because people don't know what to do. Like, on my first round on day 2 was against Dash, and even myself, I was like, fuck, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to like pistol, chamber, purifier me? If they do that, I need to sideboard completely different, And so I kind of had like a hedge board, and he definitely just boosted into me, and it was like the best round 1 of the day 2 that I could ask for. No offense to my opponent, but it was just like so relaxing, because I basically had to do nothing. I just blocked with 3 cards and then sent a 0 for 4 and banished another card, and just did that and over, and then I eventually killed him, and he was out of cards, and it was just like, good game, thank you, pack up my stuff, move on. And then I had to play Dash again. There was like, I was just the Dash guy, but this time it was against Matthew W. And I then was still not sure. Like, I couldn't get a read on if he was going to fatigue me or not. And so I got psyched out a little bit by my previous experience, and didn't do the exact same hedge board that I did before, and got a little bit punished for that. And I got fatigued, and a little bit of like variance. Like, I really needed to use 2 of my corrosives to get me 2 silver so I can get Graven Call flicked and bought back, so it comes in for 2, and that will help me keep pace in the mid game before he gets like all of his chambers and purifiers out, because I'm like looking at them and fucking bottoming them, like Spark of Genius, bottom, chamber, bottom, purifier, bottom, and I'm like banishing no cards. He's just taking every dagger and blocking them. And so it was tough. We like, during the day I was like, wow, man, that was kind of close. But I think back on it now, and I'm like, no, that was like really a game I got handily smoked. That wasn't a Dromi loss. So, and then I paired into a Rhinar, and just a classic brute game. Like, they don't really want to block you too much, and if they do, like, they can't push over the damage and the milling that you're doing. So I thought I was going to lose when he triple barraging into Blood Rushed me. Like, that was really scary and took a big chunk of my life. I went from like 36 to 19 real quick, and then it was like kind of a real game, but eventually got that one. And then that was my last win of the day. Then I got paired into Phi and lost that game. It was kind of an atypical deck where he had like 8 defense reactions, and those like really mattered because I had to like basically block with 3 or 4 cards every turn and then send a 0 for 4. And you know, he ended the game with after he killed me, like 1 hand of cards left basically. And I needed probably to get those extra couple of cards. So that was pretty good. And then I lost a really close game to this very nice gentleman named Noah on Dromi, and we both only had 3 cards left in deck. And I even talked with him on Twitter on like what the end game scenarios were going to be, and like those last couple of turns, a lot of decisions were made, and none of them I think were the right ones for either of us, because we both put ourselves in a position where like we could win or lose, and he definitely came up with that game. But the big takeaway I have from that, rather than like what was the correct line, was that I did not fully play to my outs and already had thought I had lost the game. And if partway through that, when I really did let myself think for like a hot sec, like, hey, I might actually win this game, if I had kept that mentality and kept playing tight, even though it was like round 13 and I was so tired, that I might have actually won that game, rather than like trying to win it for the clout, you know. I think if I had, and that's my takeaway, and hopefully a lesson somebody who's listening to this podcast 2 hours into, is like, even if it's your bad matchup, like you still got to try really hard to win, because you might be able to do it, you know. And if I had thought that when I sat down in that game, you know, maybe I may, you know, it's so marginal at where my record was, like that maybe matters in the bragging rights of getting top 32 and like an extra $100, but really it's the lesson of like thinking that you can win or trying to win even though it's your bad matchup, and that's like what you should do and play to your outs. And I did not do that, and I lost, and that was a bummer. But I did try to go for Regicide even though he wasn't wearing crown. And it was an exciting moment that everybody around the table who was watching us like noticed. So it was kind of fun. Like I went no cards left in deck, so I went last ditch effort, and his whole hand blocked a total of he had 3 cards, a Necria, a Rake, and a Sigil, and a Rake and Arsenal. And I just kind of forgot he had Sigil, and he blocked with 2 cards and took 3. And I was like, cool, he has 1 card left in hand. Surely it's in his banish zone. There's a buttload of cards over there. I have Regicide in hand. I'll just cast that. And he was at 2 health, and he sigiled, went back up to 5, took 3, and then I lost the game. On my terms, not his. He did not kill me. I lost the game, not them. So I think technically I'm like actually 9-4 or whatever.
That's
because
how that works.
I beat myself. Yeah. Instead of 8-5, I'm actually 9-4. So it was pretty fun. Zayne came over and like gave me some love, like, "Whoa, dude, that was crazy." And I was like,
I saw the
dude.
Regicide. It was sweet.
It would have been sick. And I got the blackout version too, so it was kind of cooler. But then it wasn't.
I was walking by, and that was the first. He has the sigil of the weekends. So when you guys think the sigil, I'm gonna think of that one instead of the Pro Tour winning one, because it was pretty sad.
Yeah, but anyway, great weekend. I ended 46th place, 8-5 on Arachne at the Colin LA. Top 50, made $200. Smashed my expectations for the weekend, so I'm beyond psyched and can't wait for the deck tech and just getting to play more Arachne. I can't wait. Deck's good.
Who all did UPF on Sunday? Just me and you, Colin?
I did. Zayne, did you do UPF?
I did not do UPF on Sunday.
All right.
It was actually kind of fun. It was a draft that I screwed it up because it was 2 pods side by side, but I was thinking we're gonna draft through us 4 only. So everyone thought I was stupid. The guy from Fluke in Box or whatever, the New Zealand guy, he was sitting corner to me. So he was talking all kinds of crazy stuff of like, I'll buy all your energy potions for $80. And like all that stuff was going on. But after we drafted, I had every single one of the equipments plus the shield that matters how many people are in your pod that are higher than you. So I was like, bro, I've got what is that? Like 15 extra health on my equipment only. And everyone was like, that's the trap. That's why we were passing them, because you're just screwed now because everyone's going to attack you. I was like, okay, whatever. But what sucked was when we got settled, some people dropped. So I'm in a pod with just 3 people. So now my 15 health immediately goes down to like whatever 5 times 2 is 10. And like, it was so frustrating because it's me versus this guy from Portugal and then some other guy that's also on Betsy that wasn't in my pod. So it's like, we're both on Betsy setting up huge big bops, and the Portuguese KO is in the middle, and he was so charismatic. He was like, I don't want to hit you because you have the big bop, but I gotta because you have the big bop, and well, I'm only gonna attack who has the most health. And they played around my equipment so much. It was so frustrating. And like how UPF works is like, okay, well, if I attack him and kill him because he only has 2 cards, that means KO gets 4 cards to kill me. That's not gonna work. So I kept doing like performance bonus at KO, swing the Miller's Grindstone over here. My Miller's Grindstone immediately got a -1 counter on it immediately. Like, and it was just like such a like attrition that was going left and right. And I was like, why am I having so much fun doing this? Like, maybe this is something we need to do locally or whatever. But they played around my equipment. I immediately betrayed the other Betsy after the KO person betrayed us each like 4 times. I was like, I literally said to Betsy, I was like, I need to go for a kill. So at least I did something. Kill the Betsy, and KO and I go back and forth. And then I look over. I'm like, how do you have 12 cards? And I have 3. And so I was just immediately fatigued by KO, and it was over. And then I was like, did you at least win the next round? Or he's like, no. And so I was like, okay, we're doing our best here.
Nice. Yeah. UPF, I think, works really well with draft. I think the constructed UPF, in how I remember it, is a little, I don't know. It's a little weird because there's some people who are trying to win and other people trying to play like fun decks with heroes you don't play in other things. And I think just with draft, the power level feels good. You know, with this set, there's enough go again where it's like I can attack you and I can attack you. I want to like pressure, I just like I want to pressure people's hands, but also spread damage around. I also had a couple of the equipments whose block was increased by the heroes with less health, and blocking for 3 with just 1 piece of equipment was dope. But it is hard, people do try to play around it, but I only had 2, so they weren't like crazy doing it. But in the end, it was me and Justin Salmon who were the last ones in our pod. Both of we were not in a pod. That was the one bad thing about this thing, is that like more than half the people dropped immediately after deck construction just to get their cold foil things. And it was just like, come on. For the most part, all of cold foil events on the weekend, you had to play the first round, which I thought was a nice idea. So people didn't just like buy it. It's like, no, you got to play, dude. Like, this isn't just for you, like collector, thirsty cold foil boys out there. Although hilariously in one of those events, these guys were like, I don't even know how to play. And he just like took his whole, he just took all of his cards and like put it in his deck. And he had like a Mandible Claw and a Centauri Saber and was playing Kasai. It was just like you're lucky these judges are not paying attention to you because you guys are not playing Flesh and Blood right now. But yeah, UPF was fun. I did enjoy that. And then for me, last thing I did on that day was Midwinter Cube. I did Heavy Sealed again. I went 0-2 drop so I could do Midwinter Cube, which was super cool. The only part I didn't like was when Team Stroopwafel bullied me and 3 members of a prestigious team were trying to figure out how to beat me. And I'm like, bro, I 0-2 dropped the seal to come play this, and you guys are like helping the dude. Shout out to Eric, who just like top forward the calling to beat me. And I'm just like, come on, man, I'm just having fun here. They just couldn't help themselves. They're always brewing and trying to do better, but it was fun. I had a lot of fun, even though I went 1-2 and didn't win a Ragamuffins hat.
Next time.
Totally. If you Zayne, don't you own a copy of Midwinter Cube?
I do.
You guys need to figure out how to get it from Zayne for the Hype House. You know? You guys got to figure that out.
Yeah, I'll drive to San Diego and pick it up. That's easy.
Easy.
Sick.
Yeah, I don't know how to put it back together. It sounded complicated.
It's easier than you think.
All right. Well, that was it. That was Pro Tour LA.
My Sunday was fun too.
Did you play any events on Sunday, or you just did Midwinter Cube, or did you do Edgelord Cube?
So, I wanted to do so. Okay.
Right.
Alan,
rewind.
Alan Lube and I slept in. We were like, we had a busy weekend at PT.
What's that like, sleeping in during a big event? Sounds awesome.
Oh, so nice. Yeah, our other 2 roommates had already gotten up, and our hotel mates, whatever. And so me and Alan just moseyed on over, met James White, saw Colin in the line, which was nice. Got my pop collar promo. We asked him about veto power and all kinds of good stuff. And then we went and got lunch, a very novel concept. We had not eaten lunch in a couple days. We had been breakfast and dinner people. So that was nice. We had a nice Mexican food lunch. And then we played the 3 p.m. sealed. Got some fun Betsy big bopping going on. And then that was my Sunday. I didn't cube. I had a very relaxing Sunday. It was exactly the Sunday I wanted to have.
Wonderful.
And wish I could have cubed, I guess would be the one thing. But other than that, I had a great Sunday. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I totally forgot about the James White thing, mostly because I was embarrassed about my question. Wasted a lot of time trying to think of something good. Had 2 questions, asked one, and then the very nice big man named Joe, Scary Joe, asked me if I was ready to take my picture with James White, which meant please fuck off, and I'll take this photo of you, but you're done now. And I was just like, damn, I messed this up. And I don't, that'll be something that I feel embarrassed about probably for the rest of my life.
What's crazy is James White probably already forgot about it, so you should just forget about it, or tell everyone on your podcast.
Yeah, don't worry. Well, we'll see if I keep it in the vlog or just the reaction video of me being embarrassed by it. Stay tuned to the channel and see what I do.
Yeah, we got a vlog coming out that's supplementary to this podcast episode. You know, a big takeaway I have from everybody's stories here is we all 4 of us played a shit ton of Flesh and Blood this past weekend, and you know, that's fucking something to celebrate. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Great job.
Play the game. See your hometown.
Play the game. Make some friends. You know, that's been my thing. It's just
not
like,
walked around that part of downtown really ever before. So, saw a new
There
part
you
of
go.
my own city.
there you go.
We walked to El Padion and had some media. It was
So
dope.
good. Recommended. That was the move.
That was great. Well, I think that's it. That was just a quick little jaunt down our 4 weekends, our various experiences, our highs and lows. And in the end, we like playing Flesh and Blood, and we all love each other deeply.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
That's why we gather, Colin. That is why we gather.
It was fun, though. It's crazy to walk in there and just be like, oh, I know that person, and I know
Dude,
that
it's
person, and I know
crazy.
this person. Like,
The more you go to, the more it happens too. Like it's wild. Like we got to hang out with like the team Unbox from the Philippines, like Justin Koo and his whole crew, like in a draft on Thursday. And then it was just like, oh, I'm running into the guys from the Philippines that I know throughout the tournament. It's like, I don't know. It's very cool.
So I saw somebody from Vegas, the Dylan guy that won the team calling for like whatever what Washington was or whatever. Because he was like, oh, I remember you're the guy that did the Prism list in Vegas. You're the guy with the gambler's glove. You're like ahead of the whole curve here. And I was like, bro, I'm telling you, man. He was like, I asked you for your deck list, right? You like, and I was like, I wonder if it's good. He's like, well, you got to switch it up because of lag. But like, and I was like, oh, okay, bye.
I saw Rhea Adams was running Goliath Gauntlet in her matchup against a brute as well on stream.
Gamblers or Goliath?
Gamblers.
Oh, wow. Well, I did.
Yeah.
I did recommend
And
that
used
to
it.
her, but I don't know if I was the first person to or not.
She activated them, and then the brute rolled a 4 again.
Yeah. So
It was not me that recommended that to her then.
would have been sick if it worked though. It's not bad. It's a good idea. I think
No,
it's
it's
great.
worth it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
It for sure is.
Makes sense.
Keeps your ALS alive 1/6 of the time.
Oh my god! If I have to hear ALS loop again, I'm gonna go crazy.
That's the
Fine.
deck you play.
Yeah, I know, and I honestly feel like I will never try to do that.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather lose.
Let's get that in writing, but
Dude,
It's pretty
please,
funny. It's pretty funny.
Ask me to explain it to you how it works, and then you'll understand that I'm not going to be able to do it. So
I got rippled away this weekend, and that fucking sucked.
on your Codex turn or what?
Yeah, totally. Codex of Blood Rot, which really mattered because that game went down to, as you heard, 2 health. And guess what a Blood Rot Pox does? Gives you 2 minus health.
Well, they discarded a blue that they could have paid, but it did cost your Ponder token.
Yeah, totally. Which is so fucking huge in Assassin. It's crazy. But yeah, that really was a bummer, man. And seeing it played on stream, I was like, ugh.
The first game I tested into Ian, trying it out in Dromi, I did like a lace into Codex, and he goes to discard it, and then he checks his grave, and he goes, wait, I have no attacks in grave. So if I discard this, I'm going to have to put this blue attack in my arsenal. So then he couldn't discard his Ripple away.
Hell yeah.
So don't do that.
That
if
was
you're
me.
Dromi.
all right, well, thank you guys for sharing all your stories and your experiences, and I am proud of all of you.
We're proud of you.
For going out there and doing it. I've given up on it, so I'm just watching you live
That's not
living
that's not true.
vicariously. That's true.
Is being there.
I'm just in training, and one day I'll be back. But no, it's fun. Learning how to play and enjoy this game in many different ways is a huge benefit. So I definitely, if you've never just done side events, I highly recommend it. It was so much fun. I got a cold foil spectral shield with my tickets. I'm a happy boy. So, but thanks everyone for joining us for this long episode. It was such a just action-packed weekend. We wanted to share everything with you. So we hope you enjoyed it. If you were there, let us know your highlights, your lowlights, your bad beats, your fucking cold feats. On a scale of 1 to feet, how many good of a
new
time
assassins?
did you have?
Yeah, if you want to
New
activate
assassins
your
did you-
chi, send that to us too.
Yeah,
I
we'll take all
did
the
it.
chi.
I got my joke back in there. Let's go.
The
Callback to 2 hours ago.
last braggy thing I'll say after I was talking with Noah, who was the Dromi that beat me in round 13, he was like, well, now that Dromi's gonna, he messaged me and said, that Dromi's gonna LL. I'm like, our game has made me actually consider Arachne as like a viable option for PQs. And I'm like, let's go.
You said
I'm
back
gonna
off,
cry.
sir.
That's like almost bro posing level compliment,
Totally.
And then I dabbed. In sync.
All right.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys. See you in the next
Bye.
one.
Bye.